Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Resurrection Motorsports. In today's episode, we're going to do something a little different. Gavin gets in front of the camera and we get to see the projects that he has at his house that we're going to be featuring on future episodes of the channel. A quick update on the Mustang. We found that the valve cover gasket was not the actual source of the leak that we're seeing right now. And we do believe that we have determined it to be the front cover that goes on the front of the motor. The only disappointing thing about that is all of the accessories have to come off. It's very labor intensive. But make sure you stay tuned. We are going to be putting an episode out of how we take care of this problem. And then hopefully that seals the deal literally on the motor and the oil leak, and we can get this thing to put boost into it and see what kind of power it can really put down. The tires came in, they are here. We're ready to have those put on. We just need to be able to drive it without the oil leak, and we're gonna have that. So I hope you guys enjoy today's episode, and we'll see you on the next one.
Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Figured since Brandon's car is out of my garage finally, I'll give you a quick rundown of some other projects that the channel's going to see, and that way you know what to expect. So first here, this is my 91 Mustang. It's an original 5.0 car, but as you can see, there's no motor in it currently. Transmission's still there. And that transmission is a Ford C4, so that's a 3-speed automatic. It has a reverse manual valve body, meaning that it doesn't shift if you just put it in drive. There's actually no drive on it. Also what that means is it has a shifter, I'll show you, where you have to shift every time you want the thing to shift. So imagine having a manual car that has no clutch. And that's what this guy is. It's got a trans brake on it. In the car for safety, there's a 10-point chromoly roll cage, harnesses, fire extinguisher, the works. A cool feature about this car is when I got it, the thing was wrecked, so it's come a long ways. But I had to do a fuel cell in the back, and what a lot of people do is they'll run a firewall across here, and it looks really stupid. It blocks your view, you can't see to back up. So what I did is cut out the floor and then built this box into the floor, stitch welded it, and then that's my firewall. Then there's the fuel cell underneath there. Of course, that's the battery. Then there's a cutoff switch down there, which is hooked to the light. There's the parachute. And if you look up underneath it, you can see how the fuel cell is braced, and it's actually removable. It drops straight down with 4 bolts. Of course, there's a parachute there. Just it helps the thing slow down. All right, so the reason the motor's been out of my car is this was a stock Gen 3 5.3 liter out of a Tahoe. I was on about my 3rd set of rods and pistons. Keep in mind they're all stock, and I want the car to go faster, but there's no more strength in those rods and pistons. They were never designed to make the power I've been making. The car as it sits, well, I guess not right now because the motor's out of it, but when the motor was in the car, is making just shy of 800 horsepower at the tire. And by the time, figure in parasitic drivetrain loss, it's probably closer to the 1,000 mark at the motor. This poor motor was never designed to make that much power. So I put some upgraded rods and pistons in it. It already had a good cam, good bearings, ARP hardware, good springs, that kind of stuff. So really the motor just got to freshen up. It's been a couple years since it's been apart, so it was time. Alright, so next steps for my car behind me. I gotta put this motor back in. That's number one, but first I gotta put the oil pan on, the turbo kit, and finish assembling the thing, because it's a lot easier to do it out of the car than it is in the car. There's just not a lot of room in there. Once all that's put back on, I got a new Holley high ram that's gonna go on it. That's gonna accept a lot more boost pressures than my stock LS6 manifold would handle. And it's gonna change my RPM curve. And what that means is, before when I was revving the car out, I shift about 7,000 RPM. But the problem is, if you start looking at your horsepower and torque curves, the power starts falling off and they're not really making any more power. So basically the power comes up and it hits about 6,300 RPMs, and then the power starts diving off. And what this new high ram is going to do is it's going to keep that curve going straight up like it should. So after all that's in place, I'm changing the fuel system over to E85. It's really the best bang for your buck fuel, especially for boost. It runs cooler, you can throw more timing at the car, and it's relatively inexpensive. I've been running Sunoco 260 GT in the car. In Central Florida, it's about $9.20 a gallon. It does okay, but it's only 100 octane, so I'm limited on what I can actually do with it. Here there's a local shop on the south side of Lakeland that they sell X85 by the pail. It's actually cheaper than the Sunoco fuel, and it has a higher octane rating. So I'll be able to do more with that. And also over here, I'll show you on the bench, is the new turbo unit. Probably can't tell from the GoPro, but this is a VS Racing 85mm billet turbine. It should make all the power that my little car can handle. Alright, are we gonna go put the motor in the car today? Yeah, sure enough. Next step is all of that has to go in there. Here we go. Alright, so it's about 5 hours later, and I got everything sitting back in the car like it should be. Still waiting on my steam vents and a couple things to button everything up, especially with the fuel system, but the heavy lifting is done. I even did some stuff with this turd over here. They had some fuel leaks on the carburetor. I installed this big old Doral fan, and there's not much clearance, but it's just enough it's gonna work, and that's all that matters. Well, now that I got the motor in, there's a mod that I need to do to get rid of this janky stuff here. Installed the Motion and Raceworks steam vent kit, and on there they have a flared tube where you can clamp a hose or something on to go elsewhere. What I'm going to do, since these are all dash 4 fittings here, I'm going to tap my water pump and then run a dash 4 line directly at that. It should be a lot safer at the track and less chance of leaking other than this garbage here. So I started the tap here, then I remembered I should probably film it, and then I'll get back to you as soon as it's done. And here it is, the Motion and Raceworks steam vent kit. But I tapped my water pump, ran a dash 4 line right to there, and got rid of the sketchiness that used to be up here on this upper radiator hose. Alright, so as you can see, I got my motor all in, good to go. It's ready to fire because I'm changing the fuel, changed the intake, changed the throttle body, changed the fuel injectors. It doesn't have a tune currently. Worked on a little bit today outside, started raining, so now we gotta wait because that's how Florida goes. Next video you should see some of that. You should see some street poles probably if the road conditions are good enough. And then you might even see Brandon's car. I guess he's getting some tires, fixing an oil leak, and once he gets those things streetable, good to go, I'm gonna tune and start throwing some boost at that car. So until then, we'll see you guys next time.